and welcome to the Silvers Connection. I'm your host, Ernie Silvers. We're here with Alyssa Bradley. Alyssa is a licensed marriage and family therapist. Alyssa,
Hello.
welcome.
Hi. Thank
Oh,
you for
thanks for
having me.
being here. Now, Alyssa's the smart one. I only think I know what I'm talking about, but Alyssa really does know what she's talking about. So I brought her in to talk about some things that I think are extremely important, especially now with the COVID situation going on. Today, we're going to be talking about self-care. Self-care, using the phrase, you can't serve from an empty cup, keeping in
Right.
mind that think about when you get on an airplane, and most of us haven't flown in a while. We don't want to fly right now because it's a little weird, but when you're flying and the pre-flight announcements comes on and the stewardess says, if the little mask falls out of the ceiling, take care of yourself first before assisting others. And in short, that's self-care. So Alyssa, welcome and thank you for being here.
Thank you. Thank you for
Can you
having me.
tell us a little bit about your practice, just a little bit, give us a flyover of who is Alyssa Bradley and what do you do? I'm not going to read your bio through here because you've got so many areas that I need help in. I'm just, hopefully we get some therapy here today. So
Right. Thank you. Thank you
what do
for
you
having
do?
me.
Yeah,
So I am
absolutely.
a licensed marriage and family therapist. I work with individuals, families, marriages, all struggling through the adjustments of life. And as we can see, we're going through a major one with, not just COVID, but a lot of the, systemic issues that we have within our society.
Mhm.
Um, and work with people really dealing with self-care on a daily basis. Self-care is something that really doesn't go away, and it affects us within ourselves and the relationships around us. If we aren't taking care of ourselves, we aren't taking care of other people. Of course, going back to the airplane situation, and self-care has a lot to do with self-control, and I'll touch a little bit more on how we're dealing with the control when things are out of our control.
Well, right now, lots of things are out of our control. Oh my gosh, we used to feel like we were in control and now we're not. And I think many of us, I don't know if we're still wrestling with this, the new change or the new normal. I hesitate to call it the new normal because I think I'm going to wake up tomorrow and it's going to be all better.
Right, I call it the new adjustment.
The new
What adjustment are we making today?
it's not normal, and now working remote, we by this point, so we've been at this since February, I think,
Hmm.
when most of us became remote workers, whether we were ready or not. I
Hmm.
think the excuse of not being able to do it well, that
Hmm.
doesn't work anymore.
Well, and I think self-care kind of went down the drain when everybody had to be confined, and deal a lot with everything verbal. Everything is verbal and hardly visual with Zoom. We're missing that physical interaction that kind of feeds our self-care, our needs, from that interaction with people, with the relationships that we've, created that aren't always, on a Zoom platform.
Yeah, yeah. We used to wander around the office, have these random interactions with people. I
Hmm.
think even introverts are having a problem being secluded. Is that true?
They are, and introverts are actually, and people who weren't introverts are starting to understand what introverts are like. So, and vice versa. Anxiety, just with anxiety and depression, kind of how they come out. People are starting to say, "Oh, you kind of have the same things that I'm having now." That's also starting to be normalized.
Mhm.
It's just the levels of depression and anxiety, and that's where you really have to tap into self-care, is how are you going to care for yourself and control yourself when there's situations that are out of your control.
Okay, so we've danced around this a couple times. So I'm going to ask you, help us, give us a quickie definition of self-care. What exactly is self-care? Because until COVID, I don't know that I was aware of that phrase. So I'm like, what the hell is that? So help us understand just a quickie. What is self-care beyond the obvious?
It's a matter of being able to balance within yourself,
Mhm.
the outside entities that affect your responses,
Mhm.
and a balance with how you're responding to yourself.
Okay.
So it's really kind of, self-care is having a balance of how you respond to other people and how other people are responding to you. And that's self-care. So in order to do that, how do you care for yourself? The basic needs, because other people aren't going to, if everyone were gone and
Mhm.
not around you and you're just sitting there and you needed to take care of yourself, what would your basic needs met? It kind of goes back to the common sense thing.
Mhm.
What can I do to take care of myself right now in this moment? Okay, my basic needs are met. Now, how do I move forward to make sure that the people around me's basic needs are met? Everybody's having a really hard time making sure their family's needs are met, but also caring for themselves at the same time.
What sort of things do we do with regards to taking care of ourselves? What sort of things do we do and not do?
So I always ask a question to people is how, what are some things you do to relieve your stress? Most of the times I work with a lot of, um, younger gamers and, video gamers or graphic design artists, people who are very, very artistic.
Hmm.
Self-care is really finding what brings value to you.
Oh,
Big thing is knowing your value. Okay, I need to value myself today. I need to eat. I need to exercise so that I have the energy to give to others or give to myself. I need to take care of myself in this matter, because we can, with it, even with anxiety, it can be good and it can be bad. You can channel your energy towards bad habits. Anxiety can be a good thing if you got to clean the house, if you got to get things done, but it can also be bad if you're using bad habits to take care of yourself. So we know that I call it code switching. We
code
know how to
switching.
turn the off switch. There's a lot of things in our life we say, no, we're not going to do that.
Right.
But then there's a lot of things that we're like, we know we shouldn't do that, but we're still doing it. And
Right.
that's really how you have to really dig deep and understand, how are you caring for yourself? What are some of the circumstances or the habits that you had, the experiences that you had that got you to this point?
Hmm.
So everybody here, even we're all here, COVID-19 is here. We're all kind of in some stressful situations,
Yep.
but we've been through other stressful situations in our lives. What type of um, things did we do to get through that as well? We don't want to lose those habits that got us through situations.
So let's be clear. We're talking about getting into healthy habits, if you will, would be like
Yes,
eating, thinking of
basic,
food as fuel. So eating good,
simple.
healthy food, exercise, things that would relieve stress, staying away from the things that we tend to go to, which are fat foods, alcohol, and oversleeping or not sleeping.
But I'm not going to lie to you, Ernie. Like me and like a lot of other people, we can say things all day long.
Yep.
Sometimes I don't follow my own advice. I should probably be getting up, walking a half an hour down the street around the corner. So when I'm at home and I'm choosing not to exercise, what am I replacing it with?
Right.
It doesn't mean that I don't have to, if I don't exercise, then I'm just going to dwell all day long about how much I didn't exercise. That's
Right.
when you start saying, okay, now I'm not caring about myself mentally. Like
Mm,
I'm sulking in my thoughts and that. So what can I do within the house? This is where it's a great time for people to bring out their creativity in
mhm.
self-care. Like, oh, I never did this for myself. Try it,
Right.
you know,
Right.
try some new
Adulting is so
adventures.
hard.
It is so hard. It is so hard.
We just want to do the other thing. So we're eating right. We're trying to take some exercise, some mental. I mentioned sleep a little bit, but how important is sleep in healthcare or
Very.
self-care rather? How important? Because especially with young folks, they say, oh, they either sleep too much or they sleep too little,
Yes,
right?
especially our younger students, with everybody going virtual platform, people who are unemployed right now are, experiencing a lot of free time,
Mm,
a lot of free time. And what's happening is that you're kind of sitting around, kind of dwelling in, what do I do? What do I do? What do I
right,
do? But a lot of times they're like, well, right now, a lot of people who were doing volunteerships or very involved in society or very involved in the community are
right.
missing that piece within them. That was actually part of their self-care. So, and it was channeling a lot of their energy. So what can you do, just like we're having a podcast via Zoom, and just like we're exposing what we want to expose socially out there, but
Right.
we're confining it. What can you do to get online to share what you were trying to share in the world, but via Zoom? We don't want
Yeah.
to take that away from people. You don't want to take that away from yourself.
Yes. Yeah. It's the things that we used to do or have the things that happen to us in our lives that without our thinking now are gone because of that
Right.
social interaction. Um, in fact, the whole wearing a mask sort of steals the identity of people. We don't know who you are anymore. Everything has just kind of gone silly. So it's important, or at least if I'm hearing you right, practicing discipline, deciding
Mhm.
how you want to be, how you want to behave, how you're going to choose to take care of yourself.
Right.
That's now up to you.
And just with sleep, what I tell a lot of my clients and students is create a schedule. Just create a schedule as
Yeah.
if you were going to work, as if you were going to school. That is actually a part of your self-care. Get back on your schedule. Get up, get in the shower, get dressed as if you're leaving the house
Yep.
and as if you're coming back home. Take your breaks as normal, because what's going to happen is you're going to readjust to the environment within the home, and then when we're all ready to get back up and re-normalize, if that's what we want to call it, or readjust, we are going to be in culture shock again, and you're going to spend months and months and months having to recreate new self-care habits, and you want to be prepared to make that change. You don't want to create a bubble,
Right.
within yourself where you're drowning. That's where sleep is going to be a big factor. You have to put sleep in your schedule, not 5 2-hour naps every day. um, because one thing that nobody can control, we have, COVID-19, all the other, political issues that we have, is we can't control time. Nobody can control the time. So we've actually is what are we going to do with the time that we now have extra? Are we going to apply it to taking better care of ourselves so that we're better prepared in case
Right.
something like this happens again? We don't the nobody expected COVID-19. Nobody predicted, all of it to happen in this at this level, at this caliber, and all the other unforeseen circumstances that came out. And what's happening is a lot of people are all trying to control situations that are out of their control and not focusing within them, and they're losing control of themselves. That's where self-care has to be. You have to be grounded. You have to really look around you, see who your support system is. That's
Mm.
very important. How you're responding to the relationships around you,
Yeah.
and how they're responding to you. Yeah, we get irritable. We're getting frustrated. People are confined. People are in different environments that they've never been experiencing, and this is where the true value and core of ourselves come out. But for us to be compassionate and recognize other people in other situations that may be in an even worse situation than we are.
Right. Yeah. No matter how bad you think you have it, there are others really who
Yes,
have it worse. Right. And we
right.
don't want that. So I think it's important to understand that we need to make a choice. And when I'm talking to
Yes.
people, when I'm talking to students, when I'm talking to clients, I encourage you need to make a choice. Where are you now and where do you choose to be? Because if you talk to most people, they'll say, well, I'm not where I want to be. Well, I'd rather this be something different. Well, when are you going to choose to change that?
Exactly. There's a saying that you have to want to do something more than you not want to do it.
Yes.
So
Yes.
it's like, I always say I'm at 51-49 on
Mhm.
certain things that I'm like, I know I shouldn't be doing it, but maybe I'll stop. It's willpower. It really is. Um, I was talking to my husband the other day, and we mentioned it was a turn on off switch. It
Yeah.
literally is turn on, turn off. We
Mhm.
know what we should be doing. We know what choices we should be making, but I call it the black hole. There's a little piece in between the on-off switch
Right.
that kind of like glitches, and we end up either going the opposite direction.
Yeah. Yeah. We
So
self-sabotage, don't we?
yes,
Can you
yes,
can
we
you talk for
create
a
our own
second?
chaos.
I'm sorry?
We create our own
We
chaos.
create our own chaos. Listen to me carefully. Don't watch me too closely. Yeah. So let's talk about self-talk for just a moment because um, oftentimes folks don't consider there's a dialogue going on in their head
Right.
24/7, 365. Even when you're sleeping, they call those dreams. There's a dialogue going on in your head. Um, to clear your mind, think of nothing is almost impossible, though I'm not going to argue with any yogis out there that would tell me differently. But there's always a dialogue going on in our head. Talk about the self-talk. How does that play into what we're doing here?
Thoughts are powerful. Thoughts are definitely powerful. Self-talk, I always think of self-talk as starting backwards, because
Oh,
we know that we probably spewed something negative out of our mouth that was about ourselves or about other people. So we're like, okay, well, why did we choose to do that? Well, there was a behavior behind it. We spewed, and then there was a thought, that created that. So what are you spending most of your time thinking about? And really being able to tackle that. What are you wasting your time on? And what time are you spending that's actually creating positive energy, in your life? And the self talk is, again, really knowing your value, and really
mhm,
in order to really know our purpose and our definition, we have to really find within our core. Of course, there's always going to be traumatic experiences
right,
that people have experienced. Self-talking yourself through that can be as simple as not always repeating the trauma, but it is what it is, and we know what it was. How can we use that? We've been through those traumatic experiences, but we're here now. So what did we
right,
use? What did we talk to ourselves? Because we know back then we were probably saying, oh, please let me get through this situation.
right.
Please let me be powerful enough to make it through this. Can I get this job? Please let them call me back for this phone call. Am I going to get accepted? Self-talk is where you want to talk powerful yourself, not self-worry, not constantly self-worry, switching it to a talk, not a concern.
Right. And we're still, we have to be master of our own thoughts.
Yes.
We have to decide what we are allowing ourselves to think about and what we don't allow ourselves to think about. Because if we let it run wild, it will
Hmm.
take us in a different direction.
Right. Right.
Self-sabotage.
Yep. And you can quickly act on it. And then what happens is we end up falling in this, making some bad choices and bad decisions, even though it may not have been intentional. And then we have this little sense of guilt, and the worry gets in. And then we end up, our self talk becomes, I shouldn't have done this. I shouldn't have done that, rather than knowing what is and what can I do to work with it
Mm,
today, to really kind of better that. We want to really think about the solutions,
right.
to things, because it's already happened. It's already happened. Yes, we want to address it and disclose it, but how do I get from going from that thought to I shouldn't have said that, or I shouldn't have done that? But not just with other people, really with ourselves. Like, why
Yeah.
did I tell myself that? Why did I beat myself up so hard? Why is it
Well,
so hard for us to talk good about ourselves?
so much of it, I think, is programmed in from youth.
Right.
We're like sponges, and the
Hmm.
people we grow up with and around program us, and they give us these thoughts, and we don't even know where they come from. They're just in there. Uh,
Right.
you have to be in charge, and you have to choose. I don't want that. I used to think like that. I don't think like that anymore. I'm going to
Right.
choose to think like this,
Mhm.
right? So you have to be in charge.
Well, you have to take, we all have different family dynamics and
Yes.
environments and experiences that we had growing up. And you have to take the good and the bad of your family, and those dynamics. And you have to just say, oh, maybe I'm not going to do that. Or, yeah, I really like how my parents, did this or structured
Right.
that. You really have to take and then create your own morals and values. That's what I tell with as a therapist. People come like, what do I do to solve this problem? My job is not to tell you how to live your life and what to do. It's to help you know within yourself and ask you questions to draw those within to help you decide how you want to maneuver through your life.
Yeah. Yeah. You're gonna have to move your mic up just a little bit. Your
Oh,
sound's about,
sorry
oh,
about
there
that.
we go. There, you're back. She's back. Um, it's, I said adulting is hard, right?
Yes.
And we have to stop, draw a line in the sand and say, all right, look, I'm tired of this crap. I am responsible. Oh, there's a big
Hmm.
word. I'm going to be
Yes.
responsible and accountable for what happens going forward. You can't change
Hmm.
what happened to you, right? What happened to you
Adulting
happened to you. You
equals
can't change that.
adulting equals acceptance.
I'm scared to
Yeah.
death already.
Adulting
It's
equals acceptance, taking responsibility for your actions. You
mm,
know, we at many times other people want other people to solve their problems for them, and then they get upset when they didn't do what was asked of them. So,
right,
you
right.
know, when
You
other
have to
people
take
want
care of
to,
yourself. Back to self-care. You have to take care of yourself, because if you leave it up
yeah.
to others, they're not abundantly. I mean, mommy used to take care of you, but now you're an adult. You have to take care of yourself now. That's not
Well,
going
and
to
when you
happen.
start recognizing your own self-care and your own value and your own, idea of what you see in other people's life, you start to look at other people with less judgment and
Mhm.
understanding how much they may be going through. Everybody has their own demons. Everybody's
Right.
dealing with their own interpersonal conflict that they're having to battle. You know, there's that voice in that head. Their experiences may be similar, but nobody's is ever the same.
Right.
And it really, people just understanding that so many people want to attack and judge other people for experiences that they've never been through. I said something the other day that people will put expectations upon you that they can't even meet themselves. So what expectations are you going to put on yourself so that you know what you're expecting from other people and what value you believe? That's how you kind of know who you want to be around and
Right.
what type of relationships you want to stay in.
Okay.
It's a huge factor.
That's a good segue into the next thing I want to ask you about. Toxic people, toxic relationships. We all got them.
Yeah.
Sometimes we don't know we got them.
Mhm.
I tell folks that you indeed are the CEO of Brand You. You're responsible for hiring and firing people in your world. And some
Mhm.
people in your world need to be fired.
Yep.
Talk
Yep.
about toxic people, toxic relationships. What does
Yep.
that do to us?
Relationships are very, very important. How you are, responding to other people's,
Hmm.
irritability, other people's thoughts, other people's emotions, how we respond to them. I always say it's not how you act, it's how you're reacting. Because it's like a saying, people say, this person made me mad and you made me angry. I was like, no, you actually made you angry because you're really in control of how you respond to that situation. So if
Well,
you start to look at it,
I think sometimes we behave as though we don't know we're in control, or we forgot we were in control, or we got emotionally hijacked and we're
mm-hmm,
temporarily out of control,
right.
right? So you're right.
And
You can't make me do anything that I'm not a willing participant in, really.
right.
But sometimes that's a rude awakening to some people, going, wait, what do you mean I can control
Yeah.
that?
Yeah, you get to control, your worth and your value, how people treat you. Really, it's a matter of us, finding a support system that is, emotionally available, unconditional, love. They're understanding that what you're going through, what your
Right.
needs and desires. But we all know right now, a lot of families are just really confined. You're really understanding. Um, a lot more about your family or a lot more about, but now is a great time for you to work through conflict because you have the time. There's minimal places to go. People can't just run away from their problems and saying, I'm going to over here, I'm going to so and so. Now is a great time to take with what is in your circle, the people around you, the people in your home, and what you can control, and
Right.
let's fix that first. Fix the root. I always say with families, that just because it's toxic doesn't mean it needs to be shunned away. That's the problem. That's the reason why it's toxic, is because problems haven't been addressed.
Oh.
And that means that maybe we're not being assertive with ourselves and saying, hey, I recognize this is going on. Or we're being aggressive instead. We're coming across, maybe our tone is different. So presenting ourselves and wanting that self-care so that we're not staying in toxic situations that are creating more turmoil in our lives
Hmm. I
and
think
not
some.
feeling guilty about it. That's the problem. People will think that because they just, dismiss certain people because they're feeling like, you know what, maybe I shouldn't be talking to that person right now because I'm feeling this. Go off your intuition. Your negative energy tells you if you're feeling uncomfortable, if those thoughts are in your head and you're
Mhm.
feeling uncomfortable, it's okay to be assertive and say, I need to step back for a minute and not feel guilty about it. That's the key part.
So it's a little like listening to your car as you're driving. If you hear a noise, you should stop.
Yes.
Similar, right? Not the same, obviously, but similar. If you feel what you feel,
Mm-hmm.
right? Maybe you should start listening to what it is you feel. One of the
Mm-hmm.
things that I like to touch on with folks is that we as people, we're tone deaf. We
Mm-hmm.
can't hear our own tone. So when somebody responds negatively and say, "Why did you yell at me?" and we're like, "What? Wait, I yelled at you?" We're
Mm-hmm.
completely naive. Can you talk
Right.
about that? The tone deafness. Why
Yeah.
can't we hear ourselves?
Yeah, and that's why I love like video cameras and all that. I'm like, man, I should have recorded how that person said that to me, because then because at first because but and that's where you can show your assertion is that, it was, when you said that, you made me feel like low. You made me feel,
Right.
like I didn't, I wasn't being heard.
Hmm.
It it's okay to demand, not demand, to be assertive of your feelings. You when you
Right.
said that to me, you made me feel, I felt hurt.
Right.
It's okay to have those feelings, but when you hear it, and that's how you recognize the tone, rather than, now this is where your action to their response is important. Are you going to snap back at them?
Of
Are you
course.
going to respond back with that same tone and that nasty, because defense mechanism, like, why are you attacking me? Rather than maybe not understanding where their tone came from within. Oh, they seem a little upset before you respond. It's like, oh, okay, and maybe you recognize it first. You have the power to change their response, you
Right.
know?
Yeah. I think what we have to keep in mind is that we are in charge of our emotions. We forget
Right.
that. We give that power away. The only
Hmm.
reason you're not in charge is because you gave it away,
Right. Right.
right?
Well, what
When
happens is you create bad habits. So you may always respond like nasty and wonder, why is this relationship always like, antagonistic? Why does it always feel like well, one of you, somebody isn't changing, but the fact that you're recognizing that you need to change your tone, sometimes you have to be the person to make the change, and you start to see the responses change with others. That's
it,
where self-care comes in. If you really focus on yourself and how you're really responding to other people, responding to yourself, you start to see the things around you change.
mm, yeah, Dr. Phil, I think, and not to get silly, but Dr. Phil says you can't fix what you don't acknowledge,
Right.
right? So being aware that, hey, I'm not getting the responses in this situation or from this
Yes.
person that maybe I want, or I think another wake up is maybe it's me.
Yeah.
Maybe it's
Yeah.
me.
Like, I'm
How am I
really.
talk? How do I sound to people?
Yes.
Right.
Yes. And
Sometimes when
that's.
somebody comes off with a tone,
Mhm.
of course, being the adult in the room, I'll say,
Mhm.
I'm sure you didn't mean it to sound like that, did you?
Right.
And typically, or usually, no, they don't. They didn't real sound like what? What did I do? Right.
Mhm.
So we can't hear how we sound like. If you're getting responses from folks that are making you curious or upsetting you greatly, maybe
Mhm.
it's you. Hmm.
Right.
So we need to start listening. We need to start asking people, which takes us now to the people in your life. Let's talk about some good people in your life. We all
Mhm.
need mentors. We all need friends. We all need people that we can go around, somebody who will be honest with us
Mhm.
and not
Yes.
beat us up,
Yes.
right? You and I do that with one another on a small
Yes.
business management level, right? We talk to each other. We coach the coach, right?
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
that's kind of nice. And it's good to be around somebody who understands what you're going through and doesn't judge you.
Yes,
Just
that
says,
is
"Oh
so
yeah,
important.
I understand that." So finding good people to help us through is perhaps more useful than getting rid of the bad ones.
Yes. Yes. I believe that everybody needs that one person. This is why I think that therapy is so important. I myself have a therapist. I call it a grand. I tell my clients I have a grand. They have a grand therapist.
Mhm, mhm.
So even people who are in the caring field and the helping field need to care for themselves and find that within.
I saw a quote the other day from a gentleman. No matter what level you are in life, you could still use a coach.
Yep.
So whether
Yep.
you're an athlete or a business professional or just John Q. Public. You need somebody to help you along, to mentor you along, to help you through.
Right.
Not to be your mama, not to be your daddy. That's not what I'm
Right.
saying, but someone who can genuinely understand where you are, or maybe has been where you are,
Right.
and
And
can help
those are
you
the people
through.
who've, yeah, they've been through that. They're the mentors, the people who've used their life experiences and used what they've been through and channeled that and turned it into, also recognizing other people's value and bringing them out of situations.
Mhm.
Confidence within people actually brings out, it's just it's kind of like a special light that just
Yeah.
is kind of, it's contagious, you
Hmm.
know,
Hmm.
just like bad energy is contagious, positive energy is so contagious, and it's more powerful. Like, I think love is a huge, powerful word, and can be spread in so many different
Yep.
ways, but you have to love yourself.
We
Loving
have to
yourself
start
is
there.
really, what do you love? Like, I always tell people, what do you love to do? What do you love about you? A lot of people
Mhm.
can't bring that in, but even if it's something simple as I like water with lemon and not, I mean, start simple. Everybody wants to worry about things out of their control, but worry about what's within your control first. And then you'll start to see a lot of the stuff kind of fall into place.
Start where you are. Understand
Yes.
you're not perfect. You're not 10 feet tall,
Mm-hmm.
can't walk on water, nor are you bulletproof,
Mm-hmm. And
right?
accept it.
And accept it. I think you have to learn to be, and I don't know how you do this. So you have to learn to be comfortable in your own skin,
Yep.
right? And that's accepting yourself as a flawed individual, but you're
Mm-hmm.
working on it every day, right?
Mm-hmm.
Trying to be as best as you can, and you make mistakes, and so what? Who cares?
Yeah.
Laugh about it. Don't
Right.
hurt people, right? Take care of yourself. And we're going full circle here back to take care of yourself first, and that will
Mm-hmm.
allow you to be kinder to other people and help other people.
Well, and recognizing, are your flaws based upon other people's ideas and judgments and,
Mhm.
factors within their life, or are your flaws from within, or are they based upon what other people think about you? Your
Mhm.
flaws should be your flaws, not what other people think about you is their flaws about you, or
Right.
their other thoughts of your flaws may
That's
not
right.
be a flaw with you, because we don't want to change our whole selves. We just need to change what makes us whole.
Right, right. And oftentimes I think we live under the expectations of other people, under the
Yep.
thoughts and inputs of other people, and we never take the time to go, hey, what do I think about that? What do
Right.
I think about me?
Right. Because we're compassionate towards other people. We're great. We're people lovers. We help out. There's a lot of good humanity out here that we
Yeah.
give. It's like, but we tend to, put ourselves on the back burner because there's so many people that need us.
Let's talk about one thing I've come across a couple times. I'm sure you have as well. With being at home, working at home, kids are home. Hopefully they're going back to school soon, but the kids are home. So now working moms have
Hmm.
assumed, and fathers for that matter, not to slight the dads here, any, don't get me wrong, but homeschooling of youngsters, right? So now
Hmm.
we're home now, and I guess I hear this more from the mom than the dad because men are tough, so we don't talk about those things. But I know the ladies do. Now I have to take care of my kids. Now I have to take care of my husband. Now I have to take care of all this stuff. Moms tend to pile it on, pile it on, pile it on.
Hmm.
What suggestions, what advice would you have for that individual who just keeps doing for others and then they blow out, they gas out?
Yeah, yeah, you got to talk about having that's an empty cup right there. Moms at home and some dads at home who, are still working from home, and the wife may be essential and have to go to work. With families, it is so important to create a schedule. Create a schedule with your family. Wake up in the morning. What was it like when you were going to school?
Right,
You're still going to school mentally, just not physically. That's
right.
all. We really, because we fall into this level of comfortability. The kids are getting comfortable on the cell phones or the computers, and the house is just chaos because there is no structure. And parents need to understand they're in control. They're in control. So creating, different, for the littles, it's really important to, fixate it like a classroom. Throw in hey, we've got 2 hours and then we have recess, we have lunch. Kids need structure, kids need discipline. That's when you start to see the behaviors rise. parents, the schedule is actually designed for you to keep your kids in line. You know, to keep that schedule, you have to hold yourself accountable, because parents do. We get lazy, we get distracted. If we're distracted with work. Some people don't have the capability of, you know, childcare and, you know, being able to call somebody over, call a babysitter over. So it's really getting on a good schedule, make it
Yeah.
function, make it work for you. Don't get lazy.
And setting the new normals, right? Like you
Yes.
said, on purpose, get up, get showered, get dressed on purpose, as if, set the schedule,
Yes.
set the environment.
Mhm.
This is where we do it. Schedules are so important. And when I talk to folks and they're having problems, I can't get anything done. I got all this stuff going on. I can't get anything done. I have them do a schedule and find out you have large gaps of
Right.
nothing in
What
your
happens
day.
is you end up procrastinating. You create all
Yeah.
these projects all
Oof.
over. This is where you know, you're getting all your projects done around the house, list slowly but surely, like stuff that you've never finished because you've piled. This is women at home, many women at home that we were discussing, that they pile so much on their plate
Yep.
that you become a procrastinator on, you know, this is where a lot of higher anxiety, you
Yeah,
know,
because
levels
guys
come
never
in.
procrastinate, right? Guys never
No,
procrastinate. Guys
not at
never do.
all.
Not at
No.
all. Mm-mm.
Between garages and man caves and sheds. Yes.
Oh, thanks for that. I feel better now. Thank you.
Right. Right. Yeah. No, we have to create a schedule. That's very, very important. And quality family time that is outside of that schedule. Like on the weekends, we can't go out to amusement parks and all that. What were you normally doing on the weekends? What can you, you know, bring in with your family that's gonna be, you know, different ideas? This is where a lot of creativity, you know, comes out. This is where parents and children are getting to know each other on a much deeper level. I think
Yeah. Yeah.
families need to be open to discussions, open to the concerns of that, because how we're dealing with all working at home, it affects marriages too. This is a great way for kids to see how their parents are going through the effects of, you know, the politics behind it, COVID-19. How are their parents? We are teaching our children how to
Yep.
respond to major events in life.
Yeah.
This is a family. This is a humanity concern right now. There's a lot of room for change. People need to really grasp what's near them. I don't think they realize how much good can come out of this.
Right. Right. I'm going to go back to something you said. You said you can't go to the amusement park. You can't do a lot of things you should do, but you can get out of the house.
Yes.
And you need to get out of the house and you need to go
Mhm.
for a walk and you need to be in the sun. A lot of depression going on around there from a simple vitamin D deficiency. People are cooped up in
Mhm.
their houses. They think they can't go out, so therefore they don't. They become depressed, and frankly, it can be solved with vitamin D. Get some
Yep.
sun, take a supplement. Don't let yourself go down in the ditch. Oh my
Yeah.
goodness, but get out of the house.
Yeah, you don't want to, and anxiety and depression roll hand in hand. Anxiety is just a lot of fear.
Hmm.
A lot of people are afraid. Well, if I go here, I can't do this. If I go here, I can't do this. What within your range do you feel that you're in control of?
Right.
You know, that's also not going to create the anxiety behind it. You know, you may not go to the store, but you can go to the park across the street.
Yep.
You know, you can walk, and that's where you don't want to get in, that's where the thoughts come in and you start making excuses. Well, I
Hmm.
don't want to do that, it's too hot, I
Yeah.
can't do that, and then the guilt sets in, and I should have done this, I should have done that, and what are we wasting our time thinking about?
Yeah. Yeah. You shouldn't should on yourself. Shoulda,
Yes.
coulda, woulda, never gets it. Get up early, stay up late, do whatever you have to do. Get out, for crying out loud. So we're
Yeah.
talking about choices and we're talking about self-care. We're gonna tie it up right there.
Okay.
So as a parting shot, Alyssa Bradley, licensed marriage and family counselor. Oh my God, I feel like I've just had some therapy myself. I feel much better now. Thank you so much.
You are welcome.
What advice would you give? Your final piece of advice, a little tidbit. What is something that folks could do immediately to start proactively taking care of themselves?
Right. I think right now it's just important to, be who you are, where you are, see where you're at right now.
Okay.
Sit down and have a good talk with yourself and be like, okay, what are some things that I really just, some basic, simple things that I know I'm complaining about? I'm complaining about it. This is where accountability has to set in. Okay, I'm complaining about it, and I'm complaining about it because I know I want change.
Okay.
So we know we want change, and how do we want positive change? What kind of value do we want out of our lives? And really, do I need to talk with somebody through this, or what are some, basic steps that I'm going to take to, maneuver forward and stop feeling sorry for ourselves or feeling sorry for other people, because we have the choice to make a huge effect both within ourselves and within other people's lives.
Yep. Yep. I think it's perfectly acceptable to have a talk with yourself. I think it's also acceptable to answer. I mean, what the heck, right? People
Right.
will
I
think you're
talk to
crazy.
myself all the time. Yeah.
What does it matter?
Hmm.
Just have a good time and get it out. So take inventory and decide, where are you now and where do you want to be? And that's
Right.
where we're going to stop right here today. So Alyssa, thank you so much for being with us. You've been awesome to
You are
talk
so
to.
welcome.
I feel
Thank
like
you
we
for
could go
having me.
on and on and on and on, but I can't because we only have so much time. So
Yep.
thank you for joining us on the Silvers Connection. We are located on the MBA CSUSB YouTube channel. That's MBA CSUSB YouTube channel. We're also on social media, LinkedIn and Facebook and Instagram. We're there as well. If you have any comments or concerns about the show, you can email us at mba@csusb.edu. That's mba@csusb.edu. And Alyssa, if folks want to get in touch with you and find out more and maybe book a session and have a conversation, how can they get in touch with you?
Sure. I have a website which is almost being posted up this week. That's alyssabradley.org.
Okay.
And then you can reach me at my email. It is alyssabradley.lmft@gmail.com.
Okay.
And my office phone number is 951-305-3323.
That's awesome. Awesome. Can you give us that website one more time, please?
Sure, it's alyssabradley.org.
alyssabradley.org. I got to
Should
tell
be up
you,
and
she's
running this week.
all websites are launching soon or
Yes,
being
all
reworked soon.
websites are under
Oh my
construction.
goodness, it never ends. All right, so that's it for us this episode. Thank you so much.
Thank
And
you
we'll
so much
see
for having me,
you.
Ernie.
Absolutely. We'll see you guys soon.
All right,
Bye-bye.
we'll talk to you soon. Bye.